When this woman walked through the woods this morning, she had no idea that her life would change forever. But sometimes life-changing moments come in small packages, and in this case, they came in the form of this weird-looking creature. When she found it nestled between a few leaves, she thought it was just an odd-looking butterfly. But then her veterinarian told her this. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Maya finished her morning shift at the small-town library and decided to unwind with a peaceful walk in the nearby forest. She loved wandering off the beaten paths, listening to the rustling leaves and the chirping birds overhead. But this detour was a choice she would soon come to regret, because it unknowingly propelled her into a bizarre situation. As she strolled past an old moss-covered log near a quiet pond, something bright and shimmering caught her eye on the ground. She paused immediately and leaned forward, curiosity tingling through her fingers. Among the fallen leaves lay a tiny creature that, at first glance, looked like a butterfly resting delicately in the shade. She tilted her head, studying it closer, her heart fluttering with the excitement of discovering something so unusual and beautiful. Maya's heart beat faster as she realized this was no ordinary butterfly. It was something entirely different, something she had never seen before. Maya's mind raced with possibilities. Was it a rare species, some undiscovered insect? She couldn't leave it here alone, vulnerable to predators or the cold. At least that was what she told herself to feel better about taking the animal away from the forest. Because that was what Maya was planning to do, she was so captivated by the tiny animal that she wanted to take it home with her and observe it further. And with that decision, this poor woman sealed her fate. By taking that small butterfly-looking animal home with her, Maya called upon her a roller coaster of an adventure that was hard to comprehend. Maya rummaged through her tote bag and found an empty plastic container she used to keep her lunch in. It was a perfect transport vessel. The box was sea trough and already had tiny air holes in it so her bread would not get musky. Maya gently guided the creature into the container, her fingers careful not to touch its delicate body directly. The creature didn't struggle. It simply moved inside as though it trusted her completely, which was odd. Maya secured the lid and bound a rubber band around it so it wouldn't open during her walk home. Maya carefully tucked the container into her bag, making sure it stayed upright as she began her walk home. As she made her way along the narrow path toward her car, Maya kept glancing into her bag, checking on the creature to make sure it was okay. A visit to the vet seemed like the best next step. Maybe he knew more. When Maya was within the last mile of her walk home, she called the veterinarian's office. She explained what she found and how fascinated she was by the creature's appearance. "Does Dr. Carter have a spot available tomorrow afternoon? I work until noon, but I can come by immediately after." The receptionist checked the schedule and confirmed the appointment time. "Let's make it 1:00 p.m., she said. With the appointment time set and answers on the horizon, Maya finished her walk home. Maya didn't know what she was dealing with, and the vet could tell her more, but its trust in her and the mirroring of her movement made Maya simply too curious to do nothing. So she made a bold move and opened the container. Maya carefully removed the lid and placed her hand inside the box with the animal. There was a slight hesitation, but just seconds later, the creature acknowledged her presence and climbed up her fingers and onto her hand. At this point, it was clear that this wasn't a butterfly. Its colorful, protruding body resembled more octopus-like tentacles than actual wings. It slithered up Maya's hand until it reached the center of her palm, and there it stayed. Its colors were amazing, and when the late-day sun hit the creature's body through the kitchen window, its body shimmered from green to blue. After playing around with the creature for about 5 minutes, she decided to call it quits. Maya carefully placed the animal back in its container, along with some leaves from her garden plants and a shallow cup of water. We'll know more tomorrow. That evening, after a warm shower and a quick dinner, Maya settled into bed with a novel she had been meaning to finish for weeks. Every now and then, she imagined it shifting or changing colors under the soft kitchen light. Eventually, Maya's eyelids grew heavy, and she drifted into a restless sleep, still thinking about the tiny animal and the mystery surrounding it. Hours later, in the deep quiet of the night, she was jolted awake by an unfamiliar sound coming from her garden. The bedroom window was open, which normally let fresh air and the sound of crickets come in through her window. But this time, she heard something that wasn't part of nature at all. Maya's heart immediately started to pound as she strained her ears, trying to figure out where the noise was coming from. It didn't take long before she heard it again. She couldn't make out what the voices were saying, but it was obvious that at least two people were talking, and they were trying to stay quiet as they moved around outside. Maya swung her legs over the edge of the bed and stood up carefully, her body tense and her mind racing. As she reached the top of the staircase, she paused and listened again. The voices had grown clearer, and now she could also hear soft scraping noises near the back of the house. Suddenly, the sharp sound of shattering glass echoed through the house, and Maya's pulse spiked. She instantly knew they had broken the glass on the back door. Fear twisted in her stomach, but something stronger, a surge of protectiveness, pushed her forward. She glanced around and grabbed the broom leaning against the hallway wall, gripping it tightly like a makeshift weapon. With her heart hammering in her chest, Maya rushed down the final few steps and burst into the kitchen, flipping on the bright overhead lights and screaming at the top of her lungs. Her sudden entrance startled the intruders so badly that they turned in unison, their faces hidden behind dark masks. Without hesitating, they sprinted back through the garden, jumped the fence, and disappeared into the night. Maya stood frozen for a moment, her knuckles white around the broom handle. Her eyes darted to the shattered glass on the door and saw a distinct handprint where someone had reached inside, trying to unlock it from within. "Just in time," she muttered shakily, still catching her breath. In any other case, Maya would have thought these were just ordinary burglars, but after her incredible find from yesterday, Maya knew deep down, with a chilling certainty, that these people hadn't come to her house to steal ordinary valuables. They were here to steal her precious animal. She just knew it instinctively. Maya's gaze shifted to the kitchen counter, where the small container still sat, seemingly untouched, with the now blue glowing creature still resting inside. Maya started breathing heavily as she realized that the shimmering creature might have been their true target. She moved quickly, grabbing a wooden board and nails from the hall closet, which she used to cover up the broken back window. Maya saw some blood on the broken glass, indicating that one of the burglars cut himself while making his escape. "Suits you right," Maya said, smirking. Once the window was secured, Maya snatched up the container and clutched it to her chest. She turned off all the downstairs lights and hurried back up to her bedroom, locking the door firmly behind her. That night, she set the container on her bedside table and refused to let it out of her sight, checking it repeatedly between fitful moments of uneasy sleep. When morning came, Maya woke up with the creature still safe beside her, relief washing over her, but her mind swirled with new fears and questions. Who were those people, and what did they want? She refused to leave the creature alone again, so she took it with her to work, hiding it safely in her locker until noon. When the clock hit 12, it was finally time. Maya arrived at Dr. Carter's veterinary office just after 12:30, holding the container close as she stepped inside. The receptionist recognized her and gave a polite nod before calling the vet. Maya found a seat in the waiting area and set the container gently on her lap. She glanced down at it often, her mind replaying everything that had happened the night before. She tried to distract herself by looking at the posters on the wall, but her thoughts kept drifting back to the intruders. Each sound made her tense. A few minutes later, Dr. Carter entered with a curious expression. "Maya, you can come in," he said. She stood and followed him into the exam room, steadying the container. Once inside, she placed the box on the metal table. Dr. Carter leaned in, adjusted his glasses, and paused. "This is quite unusual," he murmured, examining the faintly glowing creature inside. Maya finally asked, "Do you know what it is?" Dr. Carter didn't respond right away. He carefully removed the lid and watched the creature move gently in the light. He asked how she found it. Maya described her forest walk, the colors she saw, and her decision to bring the creature home. When she mentioned the break-in, his expression shifted. He listened carefully, jotting notes, his brow furrowed. Then, without a word, he turned to his computer and began searching databases. Maya sat quietly, her gaze moving between him and the creature, which shimmered peacefully on the table. Time dragged. Dr. Carter muttered fragments. Classified. Lab. Breach. Each word made Maya's stomach tighten. Finally, Dr. Carter turned to her, took off his glasses, and said calmly, "Maya, what I'm about to share is important." He turned the monitor so she could see. An old police report appeared, with a blurry image of a creature that looked eerily similar. "It's a rare hybrid," he explained. "Genetically modified part squid, part amphibian. It can survive out of water and camouflage itself. created illegally. He pointed at lines in the report. Its skin secretes a glowing gel extremely valuable and completely illegal. This creature isn't supposed to exist. Years ago, authorities raided a lab conducting these experiments. They believed all specimens were destroyed, but at least 2 escaped and bred in the wild. Maya gave the exact location where she found it. Dr. Carter nodded. "We need to go there now." During the drive, he called animal control and explained the situation. At the forest edge, they approached the pond carefully. Maya soon spotted faint glimmers under leaves and roots. In the water and along the muddy bank, several more creatures hid, their bodies blending with their surroundings. Some slithered across rocks, leaving glowing trails. Dead fish and wilted plants showed clear signs of ecosystem damage. Dr. Carter nodded grimly. "They saw you take one. They panicked. The slime is valuable, but illegal. They weren't just thieves, they were traffickers." Animal control arrived and began securing the area. Then, across the pond, Maya saw 2 figures running the same men from her garden. One had a bandaged arm. "That's them!" she shouted. The officers and Dr. Carter gave chase. The men tried to flee, but were quickly restrained. DNA from the bandaged arm matched blood from Maya's door, confirming their guilt. In the following days, the creatures were safely relocated to a secure facility. The forest began to recover, and Maya visited often, relieved to see signs of new life. As for her shimmering discovery, it was given a proper home with its kind. She missed the creature but knew she had helped prevent a much larger disaster.